The Almanack of Naval Ravikant, A Guide to Wealth and Happiness. Written by Erik Jorgensen. Part 1. Introduction. The average person in the developed world will spend over 90,000 hours of their life at work. That's more than 10 full years, without sleep, without breaks, dedicated to a job. Yet for all this time invested, a staggering majority will never achieve true financial freedom. They will trade their most precious, non-renewable resource, their time, for a wage that barely keeps up with their expenses, living in a state of quiet desperation, always running on a treadmill that someone else owns. This isn't a failure of effort. It's a failure of the system we've been taught. We've been handed a broken map, a flawed blueprint for success, and we follow it diligently, wondering why we never reach the promised land of wealth and fulfillment. We're told to work hard, get a good job, climb the corporate ladder. But what if that ladder is leaning against the wrong wall? What if the entire game is rigged, not against you, but against the strategy you're using? This is the central dilemma that one of Silicon Valley's most profound thinkers set out to solve for himself, and in doing so, for all of us. The architect of a new philosophy. Who is the man behind these revolutionary ideas? His name is Naval Ravikant, and his story is not one of inherited privilege. Born in Delhi, India, in 1974, Naval moved to New York at the age of 9 with his mother and brother. They were poor immigrants in a situation he describes as trying to survive. His escape wasn't a stroke of luck. It was the public library. Books became his friends, his mentors, whispering the wisdom of the greatest thinkers across thousands of years. This foundation of relentless learning propelled him through Stuyvesant High School, a gateway that he says saved my life, and then to Dartmouth to study economics and computer science. But his path wasn't a straight line to success. His first company, Opinions, saw him cheated out of a fortune by his partners. He was at one point called radioactive mud in Silicon Valley. But instead of breaking, he rebuilt. He didn't just learn the rules of the game, he deconstructed them. He went on to co-found AngelList, the revolutionary platform that democratized startup investing. He became an early-stage investor in giants like Uber, Twitter, and Postmates. But here is the crucial point. Naval didn't just become wealthy. He became happy. He cracked two of life's most elusive codes. He went from being, in his own words, born poor and miserable, to being pretty well off, and I'm very happy. And he insists that both are skills that can be learned. This audiobook summary is your guide to that very skill set. We will journey through the pages of The Almanack of Naval Ravikant, a book compiled from his writings and interviews by Erik Jorgensen. In this audio exploration, we're going to dismantle the lies we're told about making money. We will discover how to build wealth ethically without relying on blind luck. We'll explore the power of specific knowledge, leverage, and accountability. Then, we will unlock the secrets to building unwavering judgment, the true engine behind all success. This isn't just about financial advice, it's a new operating system for your mind. Are you ready to learn the rules to a game you didn't even know you were playing? Let's begin. The Great Deception: Wealth, Money, and Status. The first and most important trap you must escape is a confusion of terms. It's a trick of language that keeps millions running in circles. We're taught to chase money. We're taught to crave status. But Naval reveals a crucial secret. You must seek wealth, not money or status. Interesting, isn't it? What's the difference? You might think they're the same thing, but that belief is the first bar of your cage. Money, Naval explains, is simply how we transfer wealth. It's a social IOU. It's the credit society gives you for creating something it values. It's a tool, a transient thing. You can have a lot of money, like a high-paid doctor or lawyer, but still be trapped. Why? Because you're renting out your time. The moment you stop working, the money stops flowing. You are still a cog in a machine. Then there's status. This is our primal obsession. Status is your rank in the social hierarchy. Who's the alpha? Who's at the top? It's a zero-sum game. For you to win, someone else must lose. Politics, corporate titles, social media followers, these are all status games. They make you competitive, angry, and dependent on the opinions of others. But here's the insidious part. People who play status games often gain their status by attacking those who are playing the wealth creation game. They say things like, making money is evil, as a way to signal their own supposed moral superiority. It's a smokescreen. So what then is wealth? This is the key. Are you listening closely? Wealth is the army of assets that earns for you while you sleep. It's the factory with robots working 24/7. It's the computer program serving customers around the globe. It's the book that sells copies long after you've written it. Wealth is freedom. Wealth is your time back. It's the businesses and assets that work for you, so you don't have to. Do you see the trap now? We're conditioned to chase the symbols, money and status, while the truly free are building the systems that generate wealth. The first step to escaping the prison is to stop seeing the bars as desirable. Despise the status game. See money as a tool. And fall in love with the idea of building wealth. But that's not all. You must also believe deep in your core that ethical wealth creation is possible. If you secretly resent wealth, it will forever elude you. You cannot attract what you despise. The universe will not deliver a prize to someone who believes the prize itself is corrupt. This is the first mental shift. Now, let's get practical. How do you start building? Your unique superpower, finding specific knowledge. Imagine a world where everyone has a unique superpower, a skill so innate to them that it feels like play, yet looks like work to others, a skill that society cannot easily train someone else to do. This, Naval says, is specific knowledge, and it is the foundation of your fortune. But how do you find it? And you know what the most fascinating discovery about this is? You don't find it in a classroom. You don't find it by chasing whatever is hot right now. Specific knowledge is found by pursuing your genuine curiosity, your innate talents, your passions. Think back to your childhood. What did you do effortlessly? Were you the kid who could spend hours taking things apart and putting them back together? Maybe you have an aptitude for engineering. Were you the one who was always gossiping, who knew everything about your network of friends? That might make you an incredible journalist or a networker. Did you play endless video games? You might have a deep intuitive understanding of game theory. Naval himself gives an example. He wanted to be a scientist, to be at the top of humanity's production chain. But his mother saw something else. When he was a teenager, she told him, "No, you're going to go into business." He dismissed it. But she was right. His unique combination of traits, an obsession with technology, an ability to break down complex ideas, and natural sales skills, was his specific knowledge. It felt like play to him, but it was the very combination that would make him wealthy. Now, follow this reasoning. Society can train people for generic skills. If it can train you, it can train someone else and replace you. And if it can replace you, it doesn't have to pay you much. But it cannot train someone to be you. It cannot replicate your unique cocktail of DNA, upbringing, and obsessions. This leads to a profound conclusion, one of the most liberating in the entire book. Escape competition through authenticity. When you are competing with someone, it's because you are copying them. You're trying to be a second-rate version of somebody else. But who is going to compete with you at being you? Who will write a better Dilbert than Scott Adams? Who will host a better podcast than Joe Rogan? They are being relentlessly, unapologetically authentic. Your mission is not to find the hottest market. It is to find the thing that you are uniquely obsessed with. And then, here's the next step. You find the people who need that obsession the most. The internet has made this possible on a scale never before seen in human history. You can find your tribe, your audience, your customers, no matter how niche your interest is, as long as you are the best at it. And how do you become the best? Naval has a simple, powerful heuristic. Become the best in the world at what you do. Keep redefining what you do until this is true. Maybe you're not the best programmer in the world. But are you the best programmer who also understands the vintage watch market? Maybe you're not the best writer. But are you the best writer who can explain complex quantum physics to children? Find your intersection. Find your unique flavor. That is your specific knowledge. It is the soil from which your wealth will grow. But knowledge alone isn't enough. You need a way to amplify it. The Archimedes secret, the power of leverage. Give me a lever long enough and a place to stand, and I will move the earth. These ancient words from Archimedes hold the secret to modern wealth creation. Fortunes, naval states, are not built by working harder. They are built with leverage. Leverage is the force multiplier for your judgment. This is a concept that most people completely miss. We are taught to think in linear terms. 1 hour of work equals 1 unit of output. A leveraged worker, however, can outproduce an unleveraged worker by a factor of 1,000 or even 10,000. Their inputs are disconnected from their outputs. So, what are these magical levers? Naval identifies 3 broad classes. The first is labor. This is other people working for you. It's the oldest form of leverage, and in the modern world, it's actually the worst. Managing people is messy, complex, and fraught with challenges. It requires immense leadership skills. It might impress your parents, but don't waste your life chasing it. The second lever is capital. This is money. Capital has been the dominant form of leverage for the last century. Think of bankers, investors like Warren Buffett. When you have capital, every good decision you make is magnified. If you can manage $1 million well, you can manage 100 million. It scales beautifully. But there's a catch with both labor and capital. What is it? They are permissioned leverage. Someone has to give them to you. Someone has to choose to follow you. Someone has to trust you with their money. And this brings us to the most revolutionary, most democratic, and most powerful form of leverage in human history. The leverage behind the newly rich. Are you ready for it? It's products with no marginal cost of replication. What does that mean? It means creating something once that can be replicated and distributed infinitely at almost zero cost. Think of code and media. You write a piece of software once. An army of robots, packed into data centers, can run it for millions of users while you sleep. You record a podcast once. It can be downloaded by millions. You write a book, you create a video, you send a tweet. This is permissionless leverage. You don't need anyone's approval. All you need is a computer. This is the secret of the modern billionaire class. Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos. Their fortunes are built on code-based leverage. Joe Rogan is building a media empire with his voice. Now, follow this reasoning. You take your specific knowledge, that unique thing only you can do. You then apply permissionless leverage. You productize yourself. You create a piece of media or a piece of code that captures your unique skill and can be distributed globally at no cost. This is the formula. Yourself has uniqueness and accountability. Productize has leverage and specific knowledge. It's a powerful 2-word mantra. Am I projecting my authentic self? And am I scaling it with code or media? This combination is unstoppable. And it explains why we're moving from a world of white-collar versus blue-collar to a new reality, the leveraged versus the unleveraged. The question you must ask yourself every day is, how can I find and apply leverage to what I do? Your answer to that question will determine your financial destiny. But there's one more piece to this puzzle. the most critical one. You can have knowledge and you can have leverage, but without this final ingredient, it's all worthless. The captain's burden, embracing accountability. In the age of sail, there was an unwritten law. The captain goes down with the ship. It was the ultimate expression of accountability. The captain took full credit for a successful voyage and bore the ultimate price for failure. In the modern world, we've lost that ethos. But if you want to get rich, Naval argues, you must revive it. You must embrace accountability and take business risks under your own name. Why? Because society rewards responsibility with equity and leverage. Think about it. To get leverage, especially permissioned leverage, like labor and capital, you need credibility. And how do you build credibility? By being accountable, by putting your neck on the line. Accountability is a double-edged sword. It means you take the credit when things go well, and you bear the public shame of failure when they go badly. And our brains are hardwired to fear this. We are terrified of failing in public under our own name. But this fear is another trap. Naval says the people who have the ability to fail in public actually gain a lot of power. Let me ask you a question. Why do we admire entrepreneurs? It's not just for their successes. It's because they put their name, their reputation, their capital on the line. They are accountable. They are the captain of their ship. When you take accountability, you are essentially saying, I am the one responsible for the outcome. This gives you incentive. It forces you to make better decisions. And when you succeed, it gives you the right to claim the rewards. If you're just an employee, a cog in the machine, you have very little accountability. You're responsible to your boss, not the ultimate outcome. And because your risk is low, your reward is capped. You get a salary, not equity. To build wealth, you must own equity, a piece of the business. And the only way to earn equity is by taking on risk and accountability. You could be a founder. You could be an investor. You could be an early employee who gets stock options. But in every case, you are taking a risk that is tied to your name and reputation. Here's the beautiful part. In modern society, the downside is incredibly limited. There are no more debtors' prisons. In good ecosystems like Silicon Valley, failure is even seen as a badge of honor, as long as you were honest and gave a high-integrity effort. The risk of ruin is low, but the upside is nearly infinite, so the formula becomes clearer. Arm yourself with specific knowledge, apply leverage, and take on accountability. This is the three-legged stool of wealth creation. But how do you make sure your decisions, the ones being amplified by leverage and backed by your reputation, are the right ones? This leads us to the final and most valuable skill of all. The ultimate skill, building judgment. What is the most underrated skill in the modern economy? It's not hard work, it's not intelligence, it's judgment. Naval defines wisdom as knowing the long-term consequences of your actions. Judgment, he says, is that wisdom applied to external problems. In an age of infinite leverage, one correct decision can win everything. Think about a CEO steering a $100 billion company. If their judgment is just 10% better than someone else's, that creates $10 billion in value. This is why judgment is so critical. The direction you're heading in matters more than how fast you're moving. So the billion-dollar question is, how do you build judgment? It's not about reading business magazines or taking business classes. Naval says there's no skill called business. Judgment is built from the ground up on a foundation of first principles. What are those principles? First, you must learn to think clearly, and the hallmark of a clear thinker is the ability to explain complex concepts in simple terms. If you can't explain it to a child, you don't really understand it. This means you need to understand the basics of a field, truly and deeply, rather than memorizing complex jargon. The foundations are everything. This is why Naval advises studying microeconomics, game theory, psychology, persuasion, ethics, and mathematics. These are the fundamental languages of human systems. Second, to build judgment, you must see reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. And what is the biggest thing that clouds our perception of reality? Our ego, our desires. Our ego wants to believe our business is succeeding, even when the numbers say otherwise. Our desires want to believe a relationship is perfect, even when the red flags are everywhere. Suffering, Naval says, is the moment when you can no longer deny reality. It's a moment of painful truth. But it's also the only place from which you can make real progress. Therefore, the smaller you can make your ego, the less attached you are to outcomes, the more clearly you will see the truth. Shed your identity. If you identify strongly as a Democrat or a libertarian, you will defend positions you haven't thought through, just to stay consistent with the label. To think clearly, speak without identity. Third, you must collect mental models. These are principles and frameworks for thinking about the world. They are shortcuts to better judgment. Where do you find them? Naval points to a few key sources. Evolution. Understanding that we are survival and replication machines explains so much of human behavior. Game theory. Life is a series of games. Understanding the difference between zero-sum and positive-sum games is crucial. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, a treasure trove of mental models for investing and life. Inversion. Instead of asking how to succeed, ask how to fail, and then avoid that. It's often easier to avoid stupidity than to seek brilliance. If you can't decide, the answer is no. For big decisions, a job, a marriage, a business partner, if you are torn, the answer is no. The world is full of options. Only say yes when you are truly excited. Finally, to build judgment, you must learn to love to read. Reading is the ultimate meta skill. The means of learning are abundant. It's the desire to learn that is scarce. Read what you love until you love to read. And focus on the foundations. Read the originals. Read Darwin on evolution, not a modern summary. Read Adam Smith on economics. Build your mental house on a rock-solid foundation of timeless, fundamental knowledge. When you combine clear thinking, a grasp of reality, a toolkit of mental models, and a base of foundational knowledge, you begin to develop something incredibly rare: judgment. And with judgment, you can finally earn with your mind, not your time. You can make one correct decision that pays for a lifetime of bad ones. This is the endpoint of the path to wealth. It's not about a number in a bank account. It's about achieving a state of freedom, powered by systems you've built, guided by wisdom you've earned. But what happens when you get there? You'll realize something profound. As Naval says, when you're finally wealthy, you'll realize it wasn't what you were seeking in the first place. And that brings us to the second and far more important part of this journey. Part 2. The Art of a Happy Life. We've just journeyed through the intricate architecture of wealth. We've deconstructed the machine, examined its gears, and learned the principles to build one for ourselves. We now have the blueprint for financial freedom, a map to escape the rat race. But as Naval himself discovered, climbing that mountain is only half the battle. At the summit, many find themselves looking out at a vast, empty landscape, realizing the prize they fought so hard for wasn't the one they truly wanted. Naval puts it beautifully. The three big ones in life are wealth, health, and happiness. We pursue them in that order, but their importance is reverse. Now, we turn to the most important pursuit of all. Not a game against others, but a game played entirely within yourself. A skill more valuable than any stock portfolio, more precious than any amount of leverage. We are going to learn the learnable skill of happiness. And to do that, we must first unlearn a lifetime of lies. The happiness paradox. Unlearning a lifetime of lies. Here is the greatest paradox of the human condition. We are survival and replication machines, biologically hardwired to constantly want more. We are trapped in a web of desires. And this programming, which served our ancestors so well in a world of scarcity, has become the primary source of our misery in a world of abundance. What is the biggest lie we are told about happiness? It is that happiness is something out there. It's a destination, it's a prize. We tell ourselves, I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I buy the house, when I find the perfect partner, when I retire. Do you recognize this voice? It's the voice of the fundamental delusion, the belief that some external thing will bring you everlasting joy, but it never does. And you know why? A psychological phenomenon called hedonic adaptation. We get used to things. The new car becomes just the car. The promotion becomes the new baseline. And the chase begins again. This isn't a path to happiness. It's a treadmill. And the faster you run, the more tired you become, without ever getting anywhere. So how do you get off? What is the secret? The secret is so simple, so profound, that our complicated minds almost refuse to accept it. Naval states it clearly. Happiness is not something you find. It is not something you earn. Happiness is your default state. Let that sink in for a moment. Happiness is what is there when you remove the sense that something is missing in your life. Think about a young child. A child is generally happy because they are completely immersed in the moment. They are not judging their reality against a list of unfulfilled desires. They are simply being. That state of peace, of contentment, is our birthright. We have just forgotten it. We've buried it under layers of social conditioning, expectations, and desires. Naval's journey is a testament to this. He admits that a decade ago, he would have rated his happiness a 2 or 3 out of 10. Today, he's a 9 out of 10. What changed wasn't just his bank account. He says that's a very small piece of it. What changed was that he recognized happiness is a skill, and he began to practice it. Can you grasp how revolutionary this is? Happiness isn't an accident of birth or a lottery you might win. It is a highly personal skill that can be learned, just like fitness or nutrition. If you believe this, you can start working on it. This single belief is the key that unlocks the door. So, if happiness is the absence of desire, how do we handle the desires that constantly bubble up within us? The self-imposed contract of unhappiness. Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. This is one of the most powerful mental models in the entire book. Read it again, a contract you make with yourself. Every time you say, I want that, you are willingly signing a document that says, I will now enter a state of suffering, a state of lacking, until this condition is met. We do this all day long, and then we wonder why we're unhappy. Naval talks about ordering a new car. He knows that the moment it arrives, the excitement will fade. But in the days leading up to it, he's constantly on the forums, reading about it. He admits, I'm addicted to the desiring. This is the human condition. The trick is not to eliminate desire entirely. That's impossible for most of us. The trick is to choose your desires carefully, very, very carefully. Naval suggests trying not to have more than one big desire at any given time, and to recognize that one desire as the axis of your suffering. It's the one area of your life where you have chosen to be unhappy. When you see desire this way, as a conscious choice rather than an uncontrollable impulse, you regain your power. You can look at a new phone, a fancy vacation, or someone else's success and ask yourself, is this so important to me that I'm willing to sign a contract of unhappiness for it? 99% of the time, the answer will be no. And what about desiring what other people have? This is one of the most toxic forms of desire, envy. It is the enemy of happiness, but there's a simple, logical way to dismantle it. And you'll never guess how simple it is. Naval says he used to be a very jealous person. But one day, he had a realization. When you are jealous of someone, you can't just pick and choose the parts of their life you want. You can't say, I want his money, her looks, his career. To truly have what they have, you would have to swap your entire existence with theirs. You would have to take on their anxieties, their family issues, their self-doubts, their entire consciousness. And are you willing to do that? To give up being you completely and forever? When you frame it that way, the answer is almost always a resounding no. You don't want to be anyone else. And in that realization, jealousy dissolves. This is the path to peace. Choosing your desires carefully, recognizing them as the source of suffering, and refusing to play the envy game. It's about clearing the internal noise so you can hear the quiet hum of your natural peaceful state. And this leads us to the most important prerequisite for happiness. Peace is the new rich. What if this life is the paradise we were promised and we're just squandering it? This is a startling thought. We're constantly striving for a future heaven while ignoring the potential heaven of the present moment. And why do we ignore it? Because our minds are never here. A very small percentage of your brain, at any given moment, is focused on the present. The rest is regretting the past or planning for the future. This is why Naval argues, happiness requires presence, and presence requires peace. He says, peace is happiness at rest, and happiness is peace in motion. Peace is the foundation. If you are a peaceful person, anything you do will be a happy activity. But if your mind is a storm of anxiety and regret, even the most joyful activity will be tainted. So how do we cultivate this peace? By understanding that the world is neutral. Reality has no judgments. A tree doesn't think in terms of good or bad. It just is. It is only our interpretations, our desires, and our expectations that create our emotional turmoil. There are no external forces affecting your emotions, as much as it may feel that way. The enemy of peace of mind is the expectations drilled into you by society and by yourself. You should get that promotion. You should look a certain way. You should be more successful. Every should is a form of self-inflicted torture. It's a statement that you are not good enough as you are. Naval says he is actively trying to eliminate the word should from his life, because doing something because you should means you don't actually want to do it. The path to peace is through acceptance, and here Naval offers another powerful heuristic. In any situation you have three choices: change it, accept it, or leave it. What is not an option is to sit there wishing you could change it, but not changing it, wishing you could leave it, but not leaving it, and refusing to accept it. That internal struggle is the source of all misery. The word he uses most in his own head is simply, accept. This doesn't mean being passive. If you can change it, and you choose to, then it becomes your one great desire. But for everything else, for the traffic jam, for the rude comment, for the weather, accept. The sooner you accept reality, the sooner you can adapt to it. But this is all philosophical. How do we actually do this? How do we build the habits that lead to peace and happiness? This brings us to the most practical part of our journey. You are not a victim of your programming. You are the programmer. The ultimate responsibility, how to save yourself. Doctors won't make you healthy. Nutritionists won't make you slim. Teachers won't make you smart. Gurus won't make you calm. Mentors won't make you rich. Trainers won't make you fit. Ultimately, you have to take responsibility. Save yourself. This powerful passage from Naval is the call to action for the rest of your life. It is the declaration of your own sovereignty. No one is coming. It is all on you. And this is not a burden. It is the ultimate freedom. So how do you save yourself? You do it by deliberately choosing and building habits. You are a collection of your habits, and you can change them. Let's start with the foundation. Naval's #1 priority in life, above family, above work, above even happiness, is his health. Because, he says, to have peace of mind, you must first have peace of body. His game-changing habit? A daily morning workout. He doesn't care if the world is melting down. It can wait until he's finished. How did he build this habit? By making it his absolute #1 priority. The excuse, "I don't have time," is just another way of saying it's not a priority. What is your #1 priority? If it's your health, you will find the time. And the type of workout? It almost doesn't matter. The best workout for you is the one you're excited enough to do every day. Consistency is more important than intensity. Next, diet. The modern world is a minefield of foods we are not evolved to eat. Naval's simple heuristic: the more processed the food, the less you should eat it. Avoid the deadly combination of sugar and fat together, which is rare in nature but common in all modern desserts. Sugar drives hunger, fat drives satiety, and the sugar effect dominates. Control your appetite by controlling the quality of what you eat. Now for the mind. This is where the real work begins. The primary tool for saving yourself mentally is meditation, but forget the mystical images. Think of it this way. Meditation is intermittent fasting for the mind. Your mind is constantly being fed a junk food diet of notifications, news alerts, and social media drama. It's overstimulated and exhausted. Meditation is simply giving it a break. It's the art of doing nothing. How? Naval recommends an incredibly simple yet profound practice. Sit for 1 hour a day with your eyes closed and make no effort whatsoever. If thoughts come, let them come. Don't fight them, don't engage them. And guess what happens? Your mind, for the first time, begins to process its backlog. It's like a giant inbox of unresolved emails going back to your childhood. One by one, these old fears, pains, and desires will bubble up. And because you are now an adult, with distance and perspective, you can simply observe them without judgment. And in that observation, they resolve themselves. After 60 days of this practice, Naval says, you will have heard your own mind so much that you're tired of it. You will have cleared out the unresolved junk. And one day, you will sit down and achieve a state of mental inbox zero. And that feeling of peace, of bliss, is worth its weight in gold. This practice is not about gaining a superpower. It's about recognizing how out of control your mind actually is. It's a monkey flinging feces, running around the room. And once you see the mad creature in operation, you begin to separate yourself from it. In that separation is liberation. You realize, I am not my thoughts. I am the awareness that is watching the thoughts. This is how you save yourself. By taking radical responsibility. By building habits for the body and the mind. By patiently, methodically, replacing your thoughtless bad habits with conscious good ones. It is a long journey, but it is the only journey that matters. The final questions, living a life of freedom and truth. We have journeyed from the mechanics of wealth to the art of happiness. We've discovered that both are skills, not accidents. They are choices, not gifts. But this journey raises the biggest question of all. What is the point? What is the meaning and purpose of life? And here, Naval, in his classic style, doesn't give one easy answer. He gives you 3 possibilities, 3 frameworks for thought. Answer 1. It's personal. You have to find your own meaning. Anyone else's answer will be nonsense to you. The important part is to live with the question, to let it marinate for years or decades, until you find an answer that resonates with your very being. Answer 2. There is no meaning. You will be dead for almost the entire history of the universe. Everything you do will fade to dust. No one will remember you. And this is not depressing, it is liberating. It means you are free to create your own meaning. To decide if this is a play you're watching, a dance you're dancing, or a game you're playing just for the heck of it. There are no stakes, so you might as well enjoy the ride. Answer 3, the science answer. We are systems that locally reverse entropy. In the process of creating order, building families, civilizations, art, technology, we globally accelerate the disorder of the universe, pushing it toward its ultimate heat death, a state where everything is one. It's a fanciful theory, but a beautiful one. Ultimately, there is no single answer. But in the absence of a universal purpose, you must define your own, and the best way to do that is to live by your values. If your values are clear, your decisions become easy. Naval shares his own, radical honesty, because lying to others requires you to first lie to yourself. Long-term thinking, because all real benefits in life come from compound interest. Peer relationships, because he wants to be neither above nor below anyone. And a freedom from anger, because anger is a hot coal you hold while waiting to throw it at someone else. Your life is a reflection of your values. Find people whose values align with yours, and you will have found your tribe. We have covered a universe of ideas in this audiobook summary. We began by dismantling the lies we're told about wealth, learning that you must seek wealth, not money or status. We learned how to build it with the 3 pillars. Specific knowledge, the unique superpower only you possess. Leverage, the force multiplier of the modern age. And accountability, the courage to take risks under your own name. Then, we turned inward. We confronted the great happiness paradox, that the chase for happiness is what prevents it. We discovered that happiness is our default state, a skill we can learn by choosing our desires carefully, being present, and cultivating peace. We learned that the ultimate responsibility is to save ourselves, through conscious, deliberate habits for the body and mind. This is not a simple checklist. It is a new operating system for living. It is a philosophy of rational Buddhism, taking the verifiable truths of inner work and reconciling them with the scientific realities of our world. So, as we come to the end of this exploration, I want to leave you with a few questions to see if the lessons have truly landed. Think of this as a final check-in with your new self. Looking back, can you truly see the difference between wealth, money, and status? Do you now understand the trap of chasing the latter too? What is the one authentic part of yourself you have been suppressing that could be the seed of your specific knowledge? What is the one desire you are holding on to right now, the one contract of unhappiness you can choose to tear up today and reclaim your peace? And finally, what is the first hard choice you will make tomorrow to ensure you have an easier life? The journey doesn't end here. This is the beginning. You have been given a new map. The paths are now clear. The choice, as always, is yours. If this summary has sparked a fire in you, I urge you to continue your journey. Don't stop here. Read the full Almanack of Naval Ravikant. Let these ideas sink deep into your psyche. Act on them. Because as Naval says, inspiration is perishable. Your new life awaits. Go live it.